What's your spirit type? Hi, I'm Sonia, a 4th generation intuitive, author, and teacher. And today we're asking the question, what's your spirit type? So in this video, we're gonna learn what your spirit type is, what each signature is for each spirit type, why it's super important, and how knowing your own spirit type can help even strengthen your intuition, your communication, your ability out in the world. Like learning your spirit type, it's like learning what are the things that work for you, what are the things that you need. That is how important it is. So first and foremost, I want to say, if you haven't already, hit subscribe to my channel. I put out a new video every week, and because this is a super special video, there is a quiz in the comments below to figure out your own spirit type. Well, as we get started, let's talk that there are 4 predominant spirit types: earth spirits, air spirits, water spirits, and fire spirits. Now, we come in with a little bit of all of them, but there is one energy that is predominant. And there is, in that predominant energy, in that predominant vibration, that is when we can get clear on what our spirit type is. This can also be a place of what our gifts are and sometimes our blind spots. So when we know what type of spirit we are, and also just some different tools, we can actually help to create more balance in our own lives and in the world, which is rad. So first, let's talk about good old fire spirits. Now, when you think about a fire spirit, you want to think about somebody who is always on the go. They are the one who loves to exercise. They're the one who's like, you go on vacation, they exercise, they brunch, they, have 1,000,005 to-do lists. They're constantly doing. They also are enigmatic. They are a bright light. People like them. They're funny. They often talk a lot. Sometimes they can have a little bit of foot and mouth syndrome. A fire spirit is that they burn bright and hot, and a fire spirit needs and loves movement. Now, when I think about a fire spirit, I think of my mom. My mom is somebody who wakes up in the morning, she pops right out of bed, she's got her to-do list. Her favorite thing in the whole wide world is to cross things off by going and doing. She is sometimes with that same thing of that fire energy of going and doing, sometimes going a little bit too fast, which is how she's like left her purse on the plane multiple times. That's another story. But that's what we think of when we think of fire spirits. They are energetic, they are creative, they are doers, they are constantly having to move and create. They love to be at a party. That is a place where they thrive. They have a bunch of friends, and often, they can, like I said, sometimes have a little foot and mouth syndrome, because with fire, and especially if it's uncontained, can burn you. So if you can think about somebody in your life who is a fire spirit, who has that type of energy, you can also recognize that fire spirits, one thing that you need as a fire spirit is actually permission to not be on and to slow down. Because when we can give ourselves a little bit more space and a little bit more understanding that we don't have to constantly be going, or even just permission that that's our modality and that's the way that we actually doing is a way that we are in life. So for a fire spirit, for example, a walking meditation might be something that really is better suited to them than sitting and meditating, which might feel really difficult. So even right there, aware of our spirit type, we can give ourselves more permission and actually more understanding and compassion, instead of being like, I need to be different than I am. So if you're a fire spirit and you identify, just really notice how movement is something that's important and feeds you 100%. So second of all, let's talk about earth spirits. Earth spirits are the opposite of fire spirits. Earth spirits, now when you think of an earth spirit, think about a rock that doesn't roll. Earth spirits are the people in your life, who are slow and practical. They are really organized and responsible. They love to feed you. You got somebody who's an earth spirit, one of the ways that they nurture might not be through a lot of words, but they're the ones that'll show up and give you food, will make sure that your bank account is balanced. They'll make sure that you have a savings plan. They'll also probably always be late, no matter how hard they try. They're the ones that plan your road trip and know where every single restaurant is along the way, and make sure that you have snacks, and make sure that the tires are inflated and at the right PSI. Fire or little earth spirits are great because they're grounding, they're nurturing, they help to bring us in. But at the same time, if you're an earth spirit, if that's something that you identify as, that's really me, that for me, resources and practicality and safety and security, these are the things that I really even sometimes worry about, or that I'm slow. Earth spirits, of having and creating that balance of really reminding ourselves and reminding yourself that everything is okay, that you are safe, that you are secure, and that you don't need to speed up. A really good permission, if you are an earth spirit, is to allow yourself to go slow and to have your own timing in life. Because earth spirits do things at their own speed. And in the world that we live in right now, it is hyper speed. And we like to go so fast that we oftentimes feel like, earth spirits oftentimes feel like they're late. And that actually doesn't help because they're not. So if I think about an earth spirit in my life, I think about my grandfather, who wasn't a very verbose person, but how he showed love and took care and nurtured all of us was by doing practical things. He'd make sure that you knew how to change your oil or your windshield wiper blades, or that if you had an ache or a pain, or, he would be the one that would bring you Tylenol. He would warm up a compress and give it to you. He wasn't necessarily nurturing as in loving, lovey-dovey, but that was the way that he nurtured. So when we are aware of earth spirits, and if for example, if you're a fire spirit who's a rock and roll and partnered or have a family member that's an earth spirit, you can recognize that they just of having those different temperaments and dispositions, and that's okay. Next up, we have our air spirits. Now, an air spirit is somebody who is very verbal. When we think about air, this is the sign of communication. Literally, we use air to speak. Air spirits are the ones that love information. They're constantly researching things. They have 1,010 friends. They can be kind of flighty and all over the place. They're constantly figuring things out. They also can get stuck in a lot of overthinking. That can be a shadow, or even anxiety, because too much thinking can get us disconnected or stuck in our heads. Also a good thing about paying attention to an air spirit is if making sure that what you're saying is important and that you're not just talking to talk. Because air spirits sometimes can be people who are just chatting all the time. These are your friends who also make 1 million friends, who are constantly talking, on their phone, know the deep recesses of the internet, are constantly trying to figure out. But again, shadow side of an air spirit is too much thinking, not being grounded in their bodies, anxiety, and constantly trying to figure it out, which can get us into what is the right answer? And that can be information saturation obsession, which is too much. So for a good old air spirit, know that is something that's how you're wired. That for you, communication, maybe talking about your problems, talking about what's going on in your life, is something that's really important, that you need to verbalize and get out what's going on in here, because that will also help you to balance. And then last but not least, we have our water spirits. And our water spirits, water spirits are think about water, and it goes everywhere. Water is it's just porous. Those water spirits are the ones that absorb energy, that are sensitive, that are deep. They might not always be that verbal. They can kind of be super imaginative or creative, or even in their own worlds. Water spirits are one who need alone time, who need time to reflect and process. They might not really be totally here on this plane. And if any of these sound like you, tell me in the comments below what resonates. Water spirits also are ones that can, with being aware, because water, it needs boundaries. If water doesn't have a container, if you just pour a cup of water on the table, it goes everywhere. So water spirits need to be aware, because these are people who don't have good boundaries, who might overly empathize with the people in and around them, who might be like little emotional sponges to the energy of wherever they are. And that can be beautiful, but that also can be a way of where we get saturated, get disconnected, can actually end up not totally being here on planet Earth, which is where we live, be escapist. Sometimes the downside of a good old water spirit is they can do a good old spiritual bypass, or just check out And that could be with substances, that can be with daydreaming, that can be with not actually dealing with reality or problems at hand. You know, earth, these little water spirits can really, what they really need is, that's the shadow of the water spirit. They need a container. For me, I'm so curious, what do you think I am? People will probably think I'm an air spirit. I'm not. I'm a water spirit. Through and through. As a deep sea diving, super feeling, emotional, little resonant being, I am very much a water spirit. And with that, that means that I know that I have to practice what sometimes my shadow side is, having good emotional boundaries, knowing my true yes and my true no, making sure that I'm here and grounded on planet Earth. So tell me, what kind of spirit do you have? What's your spirit type? What's your predominant? Like I said, we have a little bit of all of them. So it's not that it's one or the other, but there may be one that resonates the most. And when we can be aware of that, and I really am taking my quiz, which is underneath in these little comments, is really not only of discovering your spirit type, but some really grounded tools that can help create more balance in your body and for your spirit to allow you to navigate more clearly. So for example, even as a water spirit, for me, part of my, like I said, homework in life is to have good boundaries. And also that means that if I'm with a fire spirit who could be, or an earth spirit who could be really, really, really grounded, that I can give myself permission before saying yes. Or I can give myself permission to say, no, I don't want to go to the party. I know everybody's going to the party. I don't want to go to the party. I'm getting overwhelmed. Or if you're a fire spirit, maybe you need a permission that it's like, I need to move. That's something. Or like I said, I don't need to be on all the time. Or if you're an earth spirit, giving yourself permission that I can go slow and that's okay. I'm not missing anything and I'm safe. Or even if you're an air spirit, giving yourself permission that it's like, I need to verbalize and talk things out to figure things out, and it's not just chatter. A good tool also for a good air spirit, get a journal. It's a really beautiful way to slow down and actually start to connect. So tell me in the comments, what is your spirit type? And what do you see most predominantly? And like I said earlier, when we can be aware of our own, like people in my family, my mom's a fire spirit, I'm a water spirit. I know that when I'm in and spend time with her and she's constantly going, that it can get me feeling, and so that means that I can just give her permission to be her. That's how she's wired. And that means that for me, I need to go take a time to fill up my own little cup. So what is your spirit type? Tell me in the comments below. I cannot wait to hear from you, and take my quiz, because not only will you figure out your own spirit type, but you'll get really beautiful, really grounded homework to help create more balance, which the best thing is, because when you're more sensitive to your spirit and your type, you become more sensitive to your own intuition. You become more sensitive to the world around you. You become more sensitive and aware, which allows you to be more guidable, which is the best. So I'm sending you all my love. Tell me what you think. I can't wait. And if you haven't already, hit like and subscribe, and I will see you next week. All my love. Bye.